this one went into it. Today, guys, I want to show you 4 different methods of tying on oboe reeds. Let's dive into it. Hello everyone, welcome to my reed making desk. Today I thought we should tie on some reeds. Whether you are just starting to learn or you want to compare notes, how about we dive in and I will show you 4 different types of tying on that I used. Because every step of the reed making process will give you a final really good result. If you combine all of the steps done really well, you will end up with really nice results and very good reeds, and that's what we all want, right? I have also released a video, it was a long time ago, about gouging, which is the absolute foundation. But let's just recap a little bit. All of the steps of the reed making are super important. The selection of cane, the gouging, super important. Shaping, about shaping and shapers, we'll be talking in another video in the future, I promise. Then you have the tying on, and then scraping, playing in, and all of that. So let's stop wasting time and let's dive into it. All right, let me show you some of the tools and accessories that we're going to be needing today for the tying on of the reed. Starting with the thread, let's discuss the thread a little bit. I'm using a slightly thinner thread. I have these different colors to differentiate between different canes, or if I'm making some for someone else. Does it matter what kind of thread you're using? I find that it doesn't matter that much, but it does make a little bit of difference. Mine is slightly thinner. I find that with this kind of thread you achieve a little bit more vibrations. It also depends how strongly you would pull the thread when you're tying on. That's another thing, we'll come to it a little bit later. But I found the difference. You can experiment with that. Experiment with a thicker one, with a thinner. I think the thinner gives you a little bit more vibrations. The thicker one kind of mutes a little bit the reed. If you don't want your reeds to be vibrating too much, take the thicker one, but again, you can experiment and see how much it actually makes a difference. The easy way is to untie the reed, tie it on again with the thicker one. I also have used the fishing thing, the see-through. It looks really cool. It gives you also a slightly different kind of sound, I would say. It's interesting. You can experiment with that, but today I'll be using these. Next one on the list, the wire. We're gonna need some wire. Not much explanation needed here. I'm using the one that's like 0.3, but yeah. Oh, excuse me. Next one, we're gonna need a knife to cut the thread. Yeah. Some tubes, of course. I'm gonna be using my typical tubes that I use. Then we go to these little plasticky things that I will explain in a bit. Of course, some cane. This one is already gouged and shaped. It looks like this because I use a machine and they come out like that. They have this little line in the middle that is very helpful. I'll show you in a bit. Next, we're gonna need some pliers. I'm using these ones. Next, we need a lighter. I use a lighter. I will show you. And this thing that looks like a mandrel, but it's been shaped here in a specific way. You will see why. I use slightly hot water, something between hot, boiling hot, and warm. something that is not like for the tea, but it is warm. Why? Because I find that the cane relaxes a little bit more, becomes more flexible, and that's a good thing, and also reduces the risk of it cracking while you're tying it on. Okay, so I have my warm water here. I'm going to soak one of the pieces for at least 7 minutes, something around 7 to 8, 9, something like that, but not less. About 7 minutes have passed. You're gonna also, I forgot to show you this tool. You're gonna need one of these to help you. I like to scrape off the end. It's about 5 millimeters, something like that, 5 approximately. Be careful not to take everything off. Make it thin, try to make it even. It's not super crucial, but I personally like to make it very nice and clean. We are striving for perfection here, right? Nothing less than perfection. That's my motto. I hope you can see, it looks like this. And then we do the other side. That looks pretty good. Then I put it back in the water and I prepare my thread. Okay, let's go. The first one only with the wire. I have this little hook attached to my desk down here. It's very practical, very easy. I don't have to go look for places. It's very comfortable. So I'm going to do the thread like this. And I will show you the first way. That's actually the very first way that I learned. I get my cane. Now I can inspect, see how it looks. It looks very good. And then I'm going to take some wire. Cut some wire, and then I will go around the piece twice, kind of thing. I hope you can see. So now I will do just like a very gentle turn so I can get it started. And then once I put it on the tube, I will do more. I also want to make sure that the sides are perfectly aligned. Then I need my tube. With this shape, with this cane, we're looking for length of 73. I use one of these. You can also use something like that. It's very important to know what length works the best. Luckily these shapes, they come with instructions. I find that generally then I cut around 1.5 to 2 millimeters, which is a good amount. I think it's not a very good idea to tie on too long and then you have to cut like 3 or 4 millimeters. I find that the more cane you have on the tube, the better connection you make and the better the vibrations transfer, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'll place it and I will look for 73. It's a little bit too much side. Let's check again. Almost. Be patient with this. Yeah, that's good, that's almost there. Now I have the wire here. And then now I would pull it a little bit more. The wire sits a few millimeters above the tube, 2 or 3. I would put it just slightly more down. Don't squeeze too hard. It's not necessary, as long as it holds well. That's the goal. That holds the cane in place. So that's good. I'm checking again to see if the sides are aligned and if both sides are looking equal. Now I take the mandrel and I would start. In the beginning I would start from the lowest part, so I can give the cane a chance to adjust to the tube. I don't want to start too high because I don't want to crack it. So I start down. I also compare the sides. It looks good. You can still correct that. Then I start to make my way. I'm not pulling too hard. It's still very gentle, quite gentle. Okay. And I compare how the sides are closing. You want the sides to be closing the same way. As you go higher, you can be a little bit more gentle because we're getting into the more danger, cracking danger zone. Yeah, the sides look pretty equal. They should be closing the same amount, ideally. And that's fine. One side is slightly closing less than the other. I will correct that. I make my way up to the top. Now it's closed. It's closed very well, but I want to make it perfect. So what I would do now, I just remember that I need to push this side a little bit in direction to the other. Just like this, just a little bit. And now we can do the actual tying on. I know this might seem like a lot of effort, but believe me, I actually prefer to make less reeds but really, really well than too many, and then they don't end up working. So now I start around 3 millimeters below the end of the tube, and now I can really squeeze harder. If you imagine 1 being the very weak and the 10 being the maximum, I would say around 8, 7, 8, something like that. I'm comparing the sides, it looks good. And now I'm going to the top of the tube. I forgot to mention you could use a pencil to make a little mark where the tube ends, so you know where to end. That's the goal, to be exactly at the tube. But I know where it is, just from experience. And we're about there. So now I would start going down. I still hold the tension. I do 1 and 2. You can do also only 1, but in this case we have enough space for 2. And then I continue going down. This way, actually, you can relax the left hand and you can just continue. What I sometimes do is I use the desk to support it better and just make my way down. Here I'm a little bit more relaxed, more like a 7, but still holding the tension. I really hope you can see well, because I never do this in front of the camera. Now we covered everything. Now I have a very funky funny technique, doesn't matter. The most important is that it works. I'm still holding the tension in the right hand. And now I would cut. I still hold it. I also forgot to mention that to pull, I really find it super practical to use the actual thread, this thing, because it just saves so much of that trouble to have all this thread around your fingers, and then it's not really good for your fingers and for your skin. So I use that, as you noticed. Perfect. I cut the thread, I still hold it, I still hold the tension, then I go this way around. I hold the tension all the time here with my both hands. Now we have it, and that's it. Perfect. Looks good. I cut it here. Then I do two more, just in case. Very good, that looks good. I don't like to go all the way down. It's not necessary. But for, if you want it to look better or whatever you prefer. So this is how it looks. Oh. This is how it looks. Now you can remove the wire. We can inspect. And there you have it. You can check for the sealing. It's almost perfect. When it dries out, it will be better. What I also use at the end is a little bit of nail polish, so I can kind of seal it better. You don't have to use that, but I like it. Makes it really strong. When I was a student, when I started learning this, I remember like a week in after learning how to tie on, I had this reed that was just so weak that it could almost just come out of the tube. We definitely don't want that. This is very strong. Actually, it's quite annoying when I have to take it off. It's really strong. It's kind of annoying. Anyway, that's the first method. Second method, we're gonna use the wire again. I feel like this video is going to be so long. Maybe I should say a joke or something. Well, let's not. We take the piece of cane like this. We put the wire again. This time it will be a little bit more down below, like you think around where the tube would end. It's a little bit on the short side, the wire that I cut, but it will work. This one needs to be a little bit tighter, but be careful in the beginning. Once you get it together, you can pull a little bit more. You have a nice grab. Now, it needs even a little bit more. Don't worry about that. You'll see why. Now, I'm going to make sure the sides again are lined and everything, all this stuff that we said. I'm looking for the wire is here, is a little bit more down. And now I'll just put some water on it and leave it on the side. Now I'm gonna use this other mandrel that's been specifically made for this purpose. It's a little bit, it's sharpened so that it can go in between easily. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to make it really hot. like this. I use the lighter, but if you have even like a better source, like a gas thingy, that will be also good. You make it pretty hot. This is the hot method, I would say. Hot tying on. Warm, hot, yeah. And now you take the cane. You want to hear that sound. Ah, yeah. Did you hear it? That's what I'm talking about. You insert it inside. This will help the cane already to take that circle kind of shape, and it will be easier to tie on after that. Now what you can do, if it's not too hot, now it's fine. It's hot, but it's not too hot. I can hold it. You can take the wire and squeeze even a little bit more. Just a little bit. So now in a way it's going to be so much easier to tie on after that. So what you can do, actually, there are two ways to do it. You can just straight on tie it on right now. This is kind of, instead of doing that first turn like I did on the previous method, instead of doing that, you can actually take it out. And I will show you that it already has that circle shape here. You can leave it to dry and then tie it on. Some people say this is really good. I have tried it, but I don't really see the point. I find that the cane dries when you tie it on. It should dry on the tube. This way it connects the best. And people say it moves, but I don't think that's, yeah, that's why I'm showing you. You can try that for yourself and see. Yeah, I'm just going to straight on tie it on. Now it's going to be so much easier to go in. Yeah, and I can just tie it on. Make sure it's 73. Yeah, that's good. Perfect. I would just like put it in the water again. It gets a little bit dry from this, obviously. Okay, I take this. Like I said, this is very comfortable to pull. Very good. Now, I want to make sure that it's exactly in the center. And this time I would start higher up because the cane is already prepared and it's going to be fine. Now I'm not squeezing yet. I want to make sure that the sides are closing equally, and yes, and now I see that they are. And now from this moment I pull harder. That was the sound from the thread. It was not a crack. Now I just start again around 3 millimeters below the tube, and here we are. Then I do the turn. And there you have it. I need to do a slightly correction because, as you can see, the wire is still a little bit higher. You can also place it a little bit further down, but I prefer it here because I don't want it to squeeze too much the cane right here. So around here, for me, is a good place. Now we do the same like with the other. We don't have to do it again. We can move on to the next one. Third method, number 3. Now we're not gonna need the wire anymore. Thank God, I actually don't like the wire. Since I found these bad boys. These plastic things, I will show you both of them. I use this one, it's very small, but it's just so much easier with it, I found. And the good thing is that it actually helps the cane. It's flexible. The one thing I don't like with the wire is that it just keeps the cane stuck. Which, yeah, it doesn't leave it space to breathe. And with this one is tight enough that it's very strong, but it's also slightly flexible. This is also good. I will show you so we can compare. What you do is you put it on the cane. So what I don't like about this one, that it needs to go pretty high, and so you don't have that stability. I'm not gonna use this one, or you can put both, but I think one is enough. So I put this one. As you can see, it closes pretty well. It's not closed, but it's very stable. So I align the sides. I put it somewhere around here, and I get a tube. Put it at 73. Make sure that the sides are closing, they're aligned, and there's no crossing. I hate crossed reeds. That's like, I hate it. It can still happen even if you have aligned it perfectly. This means you have to be careful how you tie on. There's another trick I will show you on the next piece of cane that I kind of like it. If you take one of the sides of the cane like this, if you just trim it a little bit with the sandpaper or with the knife a little bit, so after that, you know what, I'll just show you on this one. I'm going to use a different color because why not? In this case, I can differentiate if I use the wire or if I use this, and then I will know. And then when I compare, it's easier to remember. Okay, the plastic thing is about 3 millimeters above the end of the tube. So here I will start down again, just to give a chance for the cane to get used to the tube. Like so. Not pulling too much. I'm also checking the sides, making sure that they're closing at the same time. In this case, yes. Good, looks good. Now I go back. You can hold that and do it this way. It's very easy. And now I would start again around 3 millimeters below the end of the tube, and I would pull harder. Here we are. I also try to have everything very aligned and symmetrical, like so. Not like this, not like this, not like this. Just straightforward. And then you take care of every turn that you do. Okay, it looks very good. This is where we want to be. Now with this one I will just turn once, like this. Okay, now we're done. Looks like this. Sorry about the focus. This is just a small reed and the camera doesn't always know that it needs to focus on that. I take the plasticky thing and there we have it. This is the method that I use the most. It's the easiest and quickest, and also the next one that I will just show you. Let's just jump right into it. Next one, we're gonna use again this one, and again the same plastic thing. Let's put the thread. Let's use the pink one for this one. Get the pink one. Okay, so what I said before, you can trim one of the sides slightly and be very careful with that though. Like this, just down here from the middle. Or with the sandpaper. This will ensure that one of the sides will go into the other. In this case, this one will go into the other. This way you're not going to have crossing, and this works very well. I don't know if you will be able to see. I'm just being very gentle right now. Just a little bit, just don't go overboard. We don't want to change it too much. Now when I close it, I can slightly see that it will go into the other. I put the plastic thing. And this one, it will be slightly lower, slightly more to the end. Again, like similar to the wire on the second method. What I mean is, if you have the cane like this, oftentimes, if it's totally aligned, there will be a little bit of tension, and it's possible that you get slightly crossed reeds. And if you put, let's say, this one into the other, it's very strong and it will not move, and that's the goal of that. And that's a very good technique I discovered a few years ago, or maybe it was more. Now I put it in the water. I take this thing, make it hot. We're looking for that sound again, that sound. Okay, you can also do it here, down here. Yes, very good. You push it and then let it do its thing. Wait for a little bit. I'm going to need another tube. There we go. What length tubes do you use, by the way? I will be interested. Write in the comments below. I use 46, by the way, in case you're wondering. I also suspect that most of you are going to be using 47. Now we take it out, It already has that, it has a little bit of that like black, but that's fine. It's rounder, and now we can just tie it on straight. We don't have to do the whole thing from down up. I'm going to use this one this time, huh? Okay. Yes, very good. We start again 3 millimeters below. I'm checking for the sides and how they're closing. I'm being very lucky today. Normally I have to correct, but this is also looking very well. It's closing at the same time. Now I'm pulling. I'm also making sure that it's straight, that it's not going on one or the other way. That looks good. I can go down once or twice. And there we have it. There's a little bit of, yeah. That's good. You can clean it up a little bit. I'm inspecting to see how it looks. Install this sealing. Yeah, this is how it looks. So these are the 4 types. I think I'm gonna say goodbye here to you guys. I hope I don't want the video to get too long. I hope you learned something. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Let's have a look at the other reeds again. And if you have learned something, I hope you learned something. Give it a thumbs up. I would appreciate that. You can also support me if you want, or if you need a cheeky lesson. Make sure to contact me. And I forgot to say what I do. I keep them, before I scrape them, I let them at least one night so they dry out well. And you would find, if you compare, that they would get slightly, again, when they dry, they will get a little bit tighter. And that's what we want, them to dry out well, to have that very good connection to the tubes. And then you can scrape. That's what I do most of the times. If I really need read quicker, I would just tie on, and then the next day I would scrape. That's pretty much it for today. I'll see you guys in the next one.